Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success. Are you feeling stuck improving your profitability? Learn from fractional business professionals how their services move your profitability needle. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello and welcome to Pathways to Profitability podcast. I am Cheryl Mucha, CEO and founder of CFO Your Way, and we're excited to kick the year off with a new version to the podcast. We will be spending our time this year speaking with other fractional business partners and how what they do, the service they provide their clients, leads their clients to greater profitability. So my guest today is Robyn from Schooley Mitchell. Robyn, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl. Happy to be here.
So I am super excited, and I like to start the conversation. Tell the audience just a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the services you provide and how you help them.
Yeah. So I currently live in Chandler, Arizona, right outside Phoenix, and I've been doing Schooley Mitchell for a little over 2 years, and just loving all the different people I've met, especially my fractional peeps.
Yeah, I say fractional is the thing for 2024, right? It's the
Yes.
way to go. So what is your superpower? Like, tell the audience a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, our superpower, quite honestly, is pretty clear. We save companies money. We work with them to reduce costs on 13 common cost categories that they would have in their business. And quite honestly, it's a very easy lift for them as well.
So just give us a little bit of a clue of what some of those 13 are.
Yeah. Some of our big hitters are merchant services, telecom, waste, which is anything somebody pays to get rid of. So that could be anything from compost to medical sharps.
Wow.
We also work in shipping, both SPS, LTL, and packaging supplies, office supplies, facility supplies, uniforms, linens, fuel, e-signature, and I'm probably forgetting a couple.
Well, it's a long list, right?
It is. It is.
So what made you decide to get into this? Because I understand from the finance perspective how it helps our clients, right? And how it helps your clients. But what was the linchpin that made you get into this field?
Well, I'll go back for a minute. I was in corporate America in human resources for almost 25 years. And one of the tasks that I hated the most was laying people off, particularly when I didn't feel as if organizations did enough to save money, because obviously cutting people, laying people off, it's one of the biggest expense lines. And in some people's minds, it's the easiest way to balance the books. It's quick and it just sort of happens. I never liked that. I never felt like we did everything we could to save jobs. And when I came across the Schooley Mitchell model, I thought to myself, what an easy way for companies to save money. And quite honestly, if I could ever help a company save enough money to spare someone's job, that would feel like me coming full circle.
Yeah, it's a people first mentality, right? See what else you can do.
Yeah, and it takes some effort and some cooperation. And I'll be the first to admit, when I was in that setting, the first time you get a whiff of financial difficulty, everyone gets very territorial. Not my budget, that guy's budget. And
Right.
There's not a lot of cooperation or rolling up your sleeves, getting together and saying, how can we make this work together?
Right. And it becomes almost counterproductive because everyone goes into panic mode. Like,
Absolutely.
Is it going to be me? Am I going to lose my job? So
Right.
I love, and I mean, it corresponds with the work we do with our clients, looking at the other aspects of the business, the other line items on the P&L to see where there's opportunity to cut costs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so a little bit about the process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been on the other end of that and providing documentation and whatnot, but just overview of the process.
Yeah, as I said, it's a very easy lift. It's 60 to 90 minutes, depending on your company size, of a client intake process. So We need to know about each vendor that you're working with, what the client likes, what they don't like, what features are they paying for that they don't need, what features do they not have that they're going to need. What's the future look like? Are you expanding? Are you moving? Are you merging? Anything like that that would affect what type of vendor, what type of service we're looking for. And then once we have that, literally just 3 months of invoices from each vendor, and we're off and running. So I tell people the lift is 60 to 90 minutes, 3 months of invoices, and we are off and running.
And then you go to market, you find ways to save, and then what?
Yeah, it's usually, I'm going to say 6 to 8 weeks, particularly the bigger and more complex the company, obviously the longer the analysis. Then we bring back what we call a value report, and we go through what people are paying now and what services they're getting, and then at least 2 recommendations to save money. And we take into account things like if someone needed to change equipment or if there's early termination fees involved. We take all that into consideration. The value report is going to give people down to the penny, here's how much you're going to save you monthly and annually. We don't do estimates or projections. The negotiations have already been done. We're going to tell the client this is exactly what your monthly invoice is going to look like.
And then long term, how long, like after you set it, it's not set it and forget it, obviously.
Yes.
There's maintenance, right? What does that look like?
Yeah, and even before the maintenance, I think one of the things that we do that I know other players in this space don't do is we manage implementation. Because quite honestly, businesses have so many other things on their plate. It'd be a shame for us to spend all this time and effort finding a great price and then have an organization not be able to implement it correctly because they don't have the bandwidth. So we actually lead that implementation to the point of reviewing contracts on their behalf from new vendors, ensuring equipment gets delivered and set up, arranging for demos, everything that would be involved in a successful implementation of a new vendor. Although I will say 80% of the time, we're able to keep people with the same vendor. So there really is no implementation at that point. But we do that implementation, and then over the course of the service agreement, which our standard is 36 months, we are actually doing a few things. The biggest one is we are monitoring their invoices. We have specialized software that just looks at invoices. So we're keeping on top of things like rate creep and billing errors, or those strange service charges that we all get on our cell phone bills that none of us understand. And then 2 other things. We are also shopping the market. So now we know the client, we know what they need. We keep our eyes open. If we see something, we might come back and say, hey, Cheryl, that was a great deal. Here's something we think is even better for you. Do you want us to take a look at it? And we will. And then probably a thing that people don't take into account until they need it is we become a point of contact for service issues. So if they're calling and they can't get their service issue solved, they call us and we make some phone calls and get their service issue solved for them.
Yeah, and that's so critical too, because time is money, right? And who has time to not only monitor, which I think is great that you're looking at those bills on an ongoing basis and making sure that they're still in line with what what you negotiated or what you agreed to with the vendors, but just the being able to reach someone when there is an issue and having a point of contact is so valuable.
Absolutely. You just hear these horror stories of clients being on the phone for hours trying to get issues resolved. And to your point, time is money.
Right. So it's not set it and forget it. I love that you're involved with your clients long term and become that set of eyes for them, because business owners are busy doing all the other things that they have to do, right? And I preach this all the time. Bring the professional in that can take that off your plate, right? So concentrate on the thing you went into business for. So where do you see the services you provide combining with other fractionals? Because again, I said this year's the year of the fractional. So how do you collaborate with other fractionals, and how do fractionals bring you into their clients or refer business to you?
Great question. It's fractional CFOs are my greatest referral partner, and partly because we have the exact same goal to make sure that the financials are in order. So that's an easy relationship, quite honestly, and one I enjoy. The way that other fractionals work with me, quite honestly, is in freeing up some cash flow for their own services. So I work with CMOs and CSOs. When they go into a client, a lot of the people, Cheryl, that you and I meet, they're great at what they do. And the only thing that's preventing them from getting business is that a company doesn't have the cash flow, or they have the cash flow and they're just scared to death to spend the money because they don't know what the economic future looks like. So I've prepared communications for people that allow them to go and say, I understand, prospective client, that you're having cash flow difficulties.
Right.
That's why I've partnered with Robyn to try to free up some space that hopefully you can engage with me, because I still think I'm a great choice for marketing or sales or whatever specialty they have. So that's a way that I can partner with them that really I see as a win-win-win. The client wins, they save money and get that service. The CMO or CSO, CRO wins, they get the business, and then I'm getting business. So it's a rare opportunity in life to get a win-win-win.
Right. And I love when I first heard you say those words and present it in that way, I was like, wow. Like, it just makes so much sense. And again, a win for everyone.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's pretty rare in life. Usually we're happy if it's a win-win. If we can get 3 wins, that's even better.
Yeah. Close the triangle, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So what advice can you share that, really can help our listeners to move the needle in their business?
I think it's one of the things you just mentioned. It's utilize experts. I think sometimes people are afraid of the cost or afraid it's going to make them look like they don't know what they're doing. There's a reason that we all have expertise in different areas. Utilize that expertise. Bring people in that maybe specialize in areas that you're not strong at. It can only make your business better when you have optimal people around you. Form those trusted networks. I think we're all probably part of trusted networks where we bring people in. I know I do it when I work with clients. I will ask them about other needs they might have, whether it be finance guidance, marketing help, payroll help, benefits help. I will ask that because I have people in my network that I trust working with my clients.
Right. And it's all that trust relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. Keyword there.
Absolutely. It's having those experts, but really feeling comfortable that, you're putting your name out there when you bring somebody in, and you have to feel really good about not only the results that they're going to get for your client, but how they're going to get them.
Right. Right. And for business owners to realize that they can't be it all. I mean, it goes back to where we started, right? They can't be it all. They didn't go into business to be it all, right?
Absolutely. I had a client recently who worked in e-commerce space and did a lot of shipping, obviously, but didn't really know a lot about how shipping worked with the big players. And, we were able to just let him ask questions, and then he knew he had an expert he could reach out and call if he didn't understand something about the shipping process.
Right. Yeah. So you're educating your clients at the same time. Yeah. That's us too. Like, we want you to understand. Like,
Absolutely.
it just makes everyone's life less stressful if you understand, right?
Absolutely.
And it goes back to the whole time is money, right?
Yes.
Business owners, there's never enough time, in the day. So let the expert take care of it. Yep.
Especially now, the way the job market is, I can't think of a single business owner or even peer that I have that feels like they're fully staffed and have enough resources. Everyone is battling, multiple job openings and how do I fill them, and too many requirements, not enough time.
Right. Right. And that process in and of itself takes so much time. Interviewing and finding is.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is another reason why this cycle of layoff and rehire that many companies utilize, it doesn't work. And in fact, very rarely are you going to be able to replace Joe with someone with Joe's experience at the same wage rate.
Right.
So this idea that I think corporations have fell in love with just lay off and then rehire, I just don't think it's a model that works.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And again, the time investment for that.
Yes.
So is there anything else you want to share with our audience? Any question I should have asked?
I think the only other thing that I failed to mention was that the analysis that we do up front is risk-free. So there's no charge for that. If we don't happen to find savings, quite honestly, which would be pretty rare and probably a situation where an organization doesn't have a big enough spend in a certain area, there's no charge for
Right.
that analysis. We make our money on the back end by sharing the savings. So, you know, very few offerings these days are risk-free. So I tell people, take advantage of things that are risk-free.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No risk, all reward, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Robyn. We will be sharing your contact information in the comments below. And to the audience, reach out to Robyn. She's a great resource. Even if you just have a question, a simple question, she will make herself available to you. But her services, again, it's a win-win for you and her, and if there's someone else involved in the triangle. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a beautiful day. Thanks, Robyn. I really enjoyed the conversation.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?